Yeah, my one worry with today is going to be like, do we get an inside day due to this? This is the day of days, right? Like, do we get a fake red to green and inside day or something, a little bit more substantial with some follow through? We won't necessarily know just yet, but we'll have to kind of play that into it. So, morning, folks. Hey, we had a big romper, right? We had the big romper yesterday. You have different things in trading, right? So you have MPCs, you have NRBs, but this was MPC and NRB all at once. And that's something that we can't ignore. So in the end, like this big consolidation, we had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10-day consolidation, basically. It's resolved itself, right? To the top of the range. We went from the bottom of the range to top of the range within a span of 2 hours, right? So if you can do that, that's pretty significant in itself. Obviously, if you look at just like in terms of market breadth, when the market's up that much, market breadth will look incredible. But we had 4% breakouts, which is pretty good too. So overall market breadth, you can see has been improving for quite some time. Market breadth is actually saying to us that the market bottomed out a month ago, even though we've been stuck in range. And we have seen a certain amount of health come into the stocks. Now we are opening above yesterday's range. The first dip will kind of tell us a story today. We've had a lot of times in the past where we've had these big one-day ramps, and then we kind of rip back down and we like fart around for the morning, and then it kind of starts to, pick up steam again, like 11 o'clock, suck in some shorts. And we've also seen in the past, like the market just completely give back like a good chunk of these gains. I would think that, we haven't seen that particular story for a while. So I think we'll be okay on that part, but I wouldn't discount a little bit of an inside day or like one of those quick drops at the open, and then they grind it out, like suck in some shorts, and then, maybe we re-ramp it. So I think those are kind of the two plays. It's just either an inside day to just digest it, or, we'll probably, rip back down a little bit and then make our way back up. Amazon price target raised to 160 at Cohen. Let's take a look at the news plays first. We are post earnings season now, so you will see it, right? You're going to see not as many gappers per se in terms of news plays, but you're still going to get a few. The Chinese stocks have had all good. The Chinese stocks have had all good reactions to earnings. So these are like, right? These are the ones that have the recent earnings. So you have XPEF. So these are things you want to put on longer term lists, right? This XPEF blew out with like 200 million in volume on Friday. And these are longer term bottoming patterns. So you want to keep these on longer term lists for, swings, day trades, all of that kind of stuff. You can see here, this Billy also, look at the volume pattern on this one, right? So you have a longer term bottoming pattern. The thing's already up 100% in a handful of days, okay? 100% already. So you're already seeing high magnitude moves in the last month. What I mean by high magnitude moves is there are already a subset of stocks that are up 50%, 100% in the last, right, 1 month. And so what we are seeing is high magnitude moves off the bottoms on very, very beaten down stocks that have earnings poppers, and that you've seen a huge chunk of these, right? It was same kind of deal like this MGNI, and they usually start with about a 10 million. You need a minimum 10 million share breakout day, but that'll usually do it. So you see a bunch of these kind of things, right? And so they do subsequently have follow through also. So, right, this is like a high magnitude move. You're going from, right, 5 to 12, and you can see this thing still has probably some considerable upside, right? What was that Polestar? This is right, a 16 million share move. So these are also stocks that turn into swings, right? When you come out of a bear market, a majority of the money will actually be made by the swing traders. They lose in the bear markets, and in the beginning of the bull markets, they're the ones that make all the money because, if you can catch what's called an EP, right? So like a turn, an earnings breakout from a bottom, you'll usually get these kind of like, 100, 200% follow throughs. So you got like these kind of plays like MGNI, PSY. So you have to do a really good job tracking these things and then having some type of system or methodology to subsequently keep playing them or stay in them. But that's where the real action will be, in these coming months. You can see this is right, like this Grow G is $70. But like, see, these moves are starting from what we call EP plays, which is just right earnings breakouts off the bottom. You need minimum 10 million shares in volume. If you get it and right, the floats are low enough and so on and so forth. So this is like 20 million that day. You'll subsequently get all of these like multiple days of follow through. And these tend to be like where the real heat is. So just something to kind of keep mind of as this market is starting to rebound, because you've already seen like a big change in market breadth. And so most likely, like, even we could chop around for like still months and months and months, but there's a good shot that a majority of like some of these cheaper stocks have made their lows. Let's take a look So those are things you should be tracking, by the way. When you see news plays off stocks that come into bottoms, that's where the big money is going to be at, because like you throwing even like say 2,000-3,000 shares at something like that when they're $5-6, you're going to catch a double or a triple a lot easier than you are trying to day trade that for 10 or 15 cents a day. You should be keeping a portion of your portfolio in a separate account ready for those type of plays. Up behind her, just so this is a big base breakout over here. The liquidity on this might be a little bit light, but I actually think that we keep this bad boy. I think we put this on our thing. This thing was $300. When you're at $300, you're still a multi-billion-dollar company. You're probably getting close, right? Probably getting close to the end. Let's see if this thing holds. I'd actually add that to the list. Let me eke out some of this junk from yesterday. Oh, do it for love. Hold on, I'm just cleaning this list up. All right, cool. Junk. So not that many gappers today. That's okay. We don't need much. Let's see on the downside what we got here. Hey, Mr. Terry, what's going on? Beaky, do you love me? Do you want me? Do you hold me? Yes, you could probably play that too. Ooh, GII, right? You can see this thing's like earnings shitter. Fucking snow. Did you guys hit that already? Ah. Hey, Moses, what's going on? Man, these are all junk shells. That's an offering. Big lots. The retail stocks up the trade. Hooray, junk. Okay. Oh, yeah, let's take a look at Snow here. So Snow had a big gap down on its earnings, but it looks like probably this will happen. Sometimes you get the big gap down, but then they start the conference call, right? And on the conference call, they might be like, hey, man, these earnings suck, but we're still like, we got plans to shred. And you start to get a pickup on this. That's why it's always really important when you're playing earnings plays. Like if you're like shorting like in pre-market or something along that end, and they got to, they're on the conference call and they're like, hey, by the way, like fucking Amazon's might buy us out. You don't know what's going on. Then you'll start to see like these things rip and ride, slip and slide. This thing will be a heater if it can stay over 140. Woo. Damn. Jason, you had it, buddy, huh? Not bad. Hey, Run just got an upgrade. Yeah, what's in it's in neutral. That's bullshit. All right. All right, let's take a look at some of these other bad boys. I think if the market holds up, you can see here the Nvidia is almost, you got about eight more points into the 200-day moving average. You've got a level here on AMD. That's going to be at a sweet spot. Now, fucking AMD, I don't know why. It was trailing Nvidia hardcore yesterday. So like this thing was up, when this thing was up 4%, Nvidia was up 8%. So do keep that in mind if you're trading them. Keep an eye and see if, the balance between those two, just in case. I made this mistake yesterday. Like when this news came out, in whatever Powell was saying, I added a few positions, but like one of them I added was, Amazon. And like, Amazon, even though like it finished okay, dude, everything else ramped up to like 8-9%, and this thing was still only up like 3% on the day. So like you're wasting money, right? Like if you have $100,000 in something that's going up 3% versus you have $100,000 in something that rips 8%, there's a huge fucking difference there, right? And so you do want to be mindful of watching the ATRs and the price action during the day. I just was like, they were also showing the same damn fucking pattern, right? It was like Powell was speaking, he said something, they sucked in the shorts, and then, right, you start to get this like big ramp. But the play would have been, right, to be like in some of these other ones that they move just a lot more aggressively. You know what? I should have been a little bit more mindful of that, right? So like if you have the opportunity, like, and you're like fucking around, putting your D on Amazon's face, and then you miss out on like, right, Meta, which was a lot cleaner, then you're gonna lose a little bit of monies on it. So make sure you're watching the ATRs and the percentage gains while you're intraday trading, because sometimes you have your money tied up in the wrong spots. Hey, this Meta is right at the 50-day moving average, so you have to be careful today. What the 50-day moving average is, what is that listed at 120? So you got about $1.30 of room before you got to make a decision on this one. You can see this is a longer term rounding pattern. If you're looking over here, right, the volume pattern has started to shift on this. This is telling you right now that at least on a short-term basis, this thing has bottomed. On its down days, right, there's very, very little selling on this. This is going to be a longer-term kind of rounding play. Now, remember, we're just beyond those kind of EP plays. You shouldn't swing trade anything. You don't want to swing trade like fucking $600 billion companies. Like when you swing, especially as you're coming out of a bear market, you want to do specifically EP plays on base breakouts. Beyond that, like you don't want to do them on like large caps. These are good for just day trading in general, but this is going to be a sweet spot too, right? So you got Meta, AMD, Nvidia, all at good locations. We've got snow here, right, for this red to green, and it's starting to hold, which is good. So that'll be something to just kind of be mindful of as this thing is starting to go. This will probably pull a little bit at the open as it's right at resistance. We have Okta over here. And then look, there was a whole host of these. Like I think some of these metals companies are still hanging out. You've got AA here, right? It had a decent enough pop, $3 in the close. Not as fun as necessarily, right, your tech companies and stuff like that. But you do have a nice pure location there. If you start to push over that, I think you're going to have a spot. And then you have steel here. Now, like these are not as fun, right, as some of these other ones, but they will give you a little bit of cheddar on it. Not everything is always going to be a hootenanny. Whoa, good word. Hootenanny. I haven't heard that one in a while. Whoa, that's brilliant. We got to nice hootenanny. Woo. Now let's get our tunes going. Today's about America, right? The return of America. America's no longer in a bear flag. We're coming out of it. Unless we fucking roll over today. Then obviously America's back in a bear flag. So add this X. The key with X, 2640, 2650. Let it push through that. Otherwise, it's going to be stuck. I think AA is very, very similar. Like, let it push through this let's just call that 50 bucks and some change. Let it push through there. And then as it starts to build over those levels, that's where you want to start to add the risk and get this thing going. Yeah, you can see all these kind of metal stocks. You know what? I normally don't put these on the list, but the margin on these is really good. So you can always be like balls deep on them. Yeah, let me take a look. Coin, I think you can play. I mean, coin's a turd, and it's a turd with fleas, but for a momentarily basis, right? Just a nice tango in the streets of Buenos Aires after your divorce, where you're just lonely and looking for love, but not like long-term love, short-term love, but you want to feel safe and dangerous. And all of a sudden, Eduardo comes by and he's like, hey, little lady, would you like to do a little dance? You say, oh, what kind of dance would you like to do, Eduardo? Well, in Buenos Aires, we only do the tango. And then you tango the night away. Maybe a little makeout party on the beach. Some hand-to-hand combat. That's nice, all right? That's what your coin is right there, all right? You can use it per day. You may be able to even do it a little bit longer. But don't marry this. Like same thing with this SI. They can squeeze up, but just remember, you don't marry the guy that you do the tango with in Buenos Aires, right, ladies? You just bring, that's just a 1 or 2 to 6 day thing. Maybe it's a 20 SMA. Yeah, I would keep these on the squeeze list. You know, we've been trying to squeeze this fucking CVNA too for days and staring. I know me and Jason have been staring at this thing all week because it's just cheap. But I think those are like those are all probably potentials to, you know, that could squeeze. If the market goes, let me see. I didn't redo the short squeeze list, but you know, in general, let's take a look here. I think, you know, if you want to get a little risque, right, you can go in like W is usually a good one that can squeeze. W, CVNA, any of those should be okay. Yeah, you could try OSTK too if the liquidity is there. You've got a level on this that's been sitting around for a while. This one is like a little bit less in volume. It only does like 1 million or 2 million shares. So yeah, you can see UPST was pushing. UPST and Affirm were pushing already. So those are probably kind of secondary plays. They can go. You know, they can go. Those are always a little bit squeezy. So you can definitely roll with those. SKCVNA. All right, that's the list. I'm sticking to it. Only earnings plays Octa Snow. Oh, fucking UPST is already starting to push, right? We want the AMD, NVIDIA, we got Netflix, UPST, Affirm. We got a couple of these metal names. And I think these are going to get inside days, but we'll see if they get bought up. I'll watch them at the open. We'll see if the opening dip. If it gets bought up right away, then we may have to fucking we may have to try it. I mean, this thing we can't ignore this one. And it was actually a pretty good trader yesterday. Like usually it's a little bit of a grinder, but it was getting some small time MPCs. True. All right, that's the list I'm sticking to it. Yeah, Andrew. How many times we say that to ourselves? All right, let's do this, guys. Cool. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on coin too. And yes, boot camp class starts tonight, so I'll probably trade till noon, and then, well, we'll see how the action is. Then I got to do a couple things before class. That's the 6 windows. Get your second 6 windows. I put some of these China stocks. A firm I would put, actually a firm probably I'd switch out with UPST. It's been trading better chart. Cool. So I got 6 windows, and on the other one I put the W, XPath, Snow, CVA, UPST. You can go with Beaky, but it just trades like shit, and the margin sucks in it. All right. All right, I'm warming up my coffee. Then we fucking shred, boys and girls. But I won't do that.